All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the video for today to focus on, the item that's making the biggest moves at the moment, Bitcoin, of course. Before I get started, of course, everything that I'll be talking about today is, not financial advice. It is just my opinion on things, and you are highly advised to do your own research and maybe just use some of the data that I'm going to be going through as metrics to make your own decisions on the market. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the last let's say the last 6 hours. So the last 6 hours have yielded liquidation of almost $240 million worth of positions on BitMEX, while at the same time, shorts liquidations, for those that are very greedy, $145,000 in liquidations for shorts. And if you want to take a look at, say, the last 30 days, the last 30 days have yielded almost $1.5 billion in liquidations, while shorts only $275 million. So in the last 30 days, compared to the last 6 hours, so there have been, again, about $275 million liquidated in shorts in the last month, whereas in the last 6 hours, there have been $240 million in liquidations on longs. So the last 6 hours have liquidated as many shorts that have been liquidated in the last 30 days. Okay, so what does that mean as far as liquidations go? I mean, it's a piece of data which I'll take with a grain of salt. Something else that I will pay attention to, and I'll come back to this chart here in a moment, but I still want to continue looking at data because data is going to be what drives all of this. So let's take a look at longs. So longs today have actually ticked up quite a bit. Let's take a look at longs over just the last 15 on the 15-minute chart. Of course, we can see right here, this is where Bitcoin decided to really fall. Longs have increased significantly. Let's take a look at shorts. All right, shorts, crazy high, right? But really, in all reality, shorts are not really that high. It looks crazy high on a 15-minute chart, but let's look at it on the daily. On the daily, shorts are still pretty low. Now, what does that mean, though? That means that shorts, to be quite honest, have a lot of fuel to go higher because all-time high for shorts, I mean, we can see it over here, was over 40,000 BTC in short position. This is on Bitfinex, which we know Bitfinex has their own issues, but we're still below. And again, it's hard to look at this as a support and resistance, but it does look to me like shorts do have an opportunity to go higher. Now, are they going to? That still remains to be seen. But taking a look at longs, Bitcoin versus longs, this is still on an uptick. Again, the high for longs is again right around 40,000 BTC long position on Bitfinex, and this does look like it also has a little bit of room to rise. So again, we kind of have to take open interest. We have to take long and short positions, with a grain of salt because right now, there's definitely way more long positions than there are short positions on the exchange Bitfinex. When you're talking about BitMEX, it's hard to tell because they don't provide the same data that other exchanges offer. Like Bitfinex says, well, this is exactly how many longs and this is exactly how many shorts are open. It doesn't tell you where it was, where these positions were opened, but we can reasonably say these long positions opened in May. in early May, a lot of these long positions open because you have a huge spike of long positions. Let me just go ahead and move this out here and just take a look at this. You can see right here on this day, there was about 4,620 Bitcoin that was thrown into a long position on May 11th. And then if you take a look at Bitcoin versus USD on May 11th, this is when Bitcoin, let's go back here, on the 11th, that's all the way back here at this point, okay? And actually, let me just clear this off here because I do want to pay attention to those areas. So on May 11th, the low was right here and the high was right here. So these are important zones, okay? Because this is when a lot of long positions entered on May 11th. Again, this is just data that I'm looking at. So this candle right here, which proved to be tremendous support when we tried to dump all the way back down here to 60, on BitMEX it went down to 6,400. Looks like on Bitstamp it went all the way down to 61, 6,200. Bitstamp was the exchange, if you don't remember. Bitstamp was the exchange that fueled that dump, which actually filled leveraged long positions on BitMEX. And if you're on the Discord, we talked a little bit about this. But at any rate, we've got a lot of a lot of support, which we should expect to see in this range. And just because we expect to see it doesn't mean that it is going to happen. It's just more or less where we're going to expect to be the next level of support. All right, so let's see here. Just want to take a look here on the daily, looking at some of these oscillators that I've got. I am not seeing indications of divergence just quite yet. You can see bullish divergence, and I don't have my RSI on here, otherwise we likely would be able to see it. But just a couple things that we are showing here, which is concerning if you're a bull. I'm still not too concerned yet. Even though we do have a little bit of a death cross here, and that's the 55 exponential crossing below the 200 simple. It's not a true death cross. We want to look for simple versus simple or exponential versus exponential, not necessarily the exponential versus the simple, but we've got a 55 crossing below a 200 simple. The slope of this 200 simple moving average is still bullish, right? Whereas back here, we had this same movement, but we had a huge price action that took us back up here to the 200 simple moving average. So, even though we have a death cross here, where we crossed, which was way down here, saw a big move in price up to the 200 simple moving average. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, right? I'm only speculating based on previous previous price action. So one thing that I will make note here is back then we were inside of this range, whereas today we are not yet in it. However, if we do happen to crawl inside of this range, I would expect once this happens, we will likely see another move up, and it could be significant back up to almost 9,000. And that is likely where we would be looking to see this resistance as this 200 simple moving average starts to curl down. If that 200 simple starts to curl down, you can fully expect that it's going to be significant resistance along the way, on the way down, and we will likely get further and further away from it. And other important moving averages are likely going to be the new resistance on the way down. Now, that's a bearish scenario. I don't want to sit here and say we're going to go down to 3,000, we're going to go down to 4,000. I'm simply saying that right here, and again, I'll go back to my other chart that I was looking at just a moment ago when I started the video. I've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm going to continue talking about this, 7,200 to 7,500. If you are in it for the long haul, this is the trade setup that you have to take. If you want to be bullish on Bitcoin, this is the trade that you have to take. You have to. Otherwise, you've got no reason being here. if you're not going to take this trade, to buy at 7,200, stop loss somewhere around 6,500, you know, you're looking for a crazy, crazy opportunity in this level. You're literally going to be looking for 126% gain on a long from 7,200. You got to have a stop loss because you have to know when you're wrong. And that's part of being a decent trader. You have to know when you're wrong. I'm expecting this golden zone to have support. I am expecting it to have support. And you know, it's the way of the waves. If this was a completion of a 1 and this is now a 2, I mean, we're looking for a crazy generational opportunity for this. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we are going to go up to 16,400, but what I am saying is if we come down here to the golden zone, we're looking for a double top scenario at 13,800. We're looking at a possible scenario where we actually go all the way up to 18,000. These are the times where we can't be afraid. If we're afraid, then then we don't need to be trading. But this is the time to be buying. This is the time to be layering in buys. I've been talking about this for, gosh, it feels like a month that I've been talking about 72 to 7,500, and here we are right now at 74.92. We're bouncing a little bit here. We had a front run of this 618. Are we going to come back down here? Yeah, I do think we are. I would not FOMO into a long position just quite yet. Spot buys, sure. You know, be my guest. Do your spot buys in this area, layer things in. But what I will say is you have to be willing to take the loss if it goes further to the downside, which it very well might. It very well might come all the way back down here to 55.91, 5600. That's this cluster over here that I'm paying close attention to. This level right here, that's the next area that I would be paying very close attention to. And if we want to just go ahead and take a real quick look at what that looks like, that's going to be right down here. This is going to be approximately 55.15. And it's probably going to be all the way up to about this level right here, which is going to be about 57.85. 57.85, and this is going to go up to 50. Let's see here, 5,500 to 5,800 basically. That's going to be that next level that we're going to be looking for support, which if I had to guess, if I threw the 786 on this, this would probably be taking us right down to that level. Perfect, right there at 54.31, which if you take another closer look, that is right at the top of this cluster. So could we go down to the 786? Yeah, we absolutely could. So that is one of the reasons why we have a stop loss here. So we stop loss on this, and this is not for a leveraged position. This is for a spot position, not a leveraged position. Doing a 9.72% stop loss on a leverage position, I mean, you're looking at emptying out your account. Do not do this on a long position. On a spot position, be willing to take a 10% loss. For a potential, again, we're talking about 100% gain. So that's like a 10 to 1, 13 to 1 odds on this. But on a leverage position, what I would be waiting for personally, let me go down to zoom in on this for just a little bit, and let's just talk about what a leverage position would look like. What I need to see for a leverage position is something like this. We've come down, we need to come up, we need to come down here, find this as support. Then that's where you're going to be finding your wave. So coming back up, going above the high from a couple days ago, and then finding this cluster as support again, right here in the equilibrium of this. If we can come up to the equilibrium here, find that as support, and then that would be where I would be looking for a leveraged long position. Right now, more than likely it's going to bounce because as Yogi said on the Discord, shorts have been in euphoria, longs have been just decimated. Again, we're talking on the last 30 days, there have been $1.5 billion in long liquidations. And let's look at the last 90 days because we've been doing this for a long time. In the last 90 days, $3.6 billion in long liquidations compared to only $1.4 billion in short liquidations. So, 1.4 versus 3.5, we're talking 3 to 1. Longs have been punished versus shorts. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not advocating for doing any kind of leveraged long positions down here. If you want to scalp, sure, be my guest. You're going to have a really tight stop loss though. Especially if you're talking down here on like maybe a 15-minute time frame. Yeah, this was probably a good place to open up long positions anywhere between obviously the low 7,300 to this area right here, 73.99, 7,400. If I was in a leveraged long position, my stop loss would not be on this wick. My stop loss would be right here at 7,400. Not that I'm advocating for opening one right now because, right now we are, we're still kind of ranging. So this level right here is going to be where I would be looking to, for us to top out. And then also where I'm looking for our range is going to be, let me put this up here. Our range right now is going to be in this area. And actually, I'd be willing to bet this is probably right at the equilibrium of it. So I would just be very careful on any leveraged long positions because we had a 15-minute candle close and open, wick down, and it closed above. It wasn't really engulfing, but I don't put too much weight on engulfing candles on a 15-minute time frame anyway. I bet if we went to a 30-minute, it would look much better. We're creating a little bit of a doji right now on the 15-minute time, or sorry, the 30-minute time frame. There is some fighting going on down here. I'm sure if we looked at the volume would look okay. And actually here, this is a good indication of the volume. Obviously, there was a lot of selling pressure, but now there's way more buying pressure than we've seen. This is on the previous 30-minute candle. A lot more buying pressure that we're seeing here compared to, gosh, all the way back here on October the 11th. So we're talking 12 days ago. We haven't seen as much buying pressure in the last almost 2 weeks. And then if we kind of take a look at this, yeah, all the way back here where we topped out at 8,800, right? So again, that's another number that I was talking about a long time ago. I kept saying, we're going to top out at 8,800, and we did. We went all the way up to the high was 88.26, and now here we are. We potentially bottomed out at 7,300. I am still, I'm still skeptical about, is this the bottom? I'm still skeptical. So, I'm still looking down here at 72 to 7,500, which we are in that range right now. That 618, the 61.8% retrace is right here at 72.32, 7,200. And then of course, the entire golden zone could take us all the way back down to 6,900. So that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm not going to make any predictions on where we're going next because obviously we are in a downtrend. If I were to take a look at things on higher time frames, like a 4-hour, some things that I would be looking for would be some kind of bullish divergence. Probably would be better off looking at the 12-hour time frame. And at the velocity in which this happened, I'd be willing to bet we do have some divergence on this, but I really want to see some follow through on the bull side. I want to see some follow through because right now I'm not sure, I don't have the volume profile on here, but if I threw the volume profile on this, and I like to look at this from a more microscopic standpoint. So let me take this. I'm going to make some adjustments to my volume profile. I like to look at ticks, and I like to increase the row size because then what I tend to get is, let's see here, number of rows. I'm going to increase this to 80. And then I get more and more granularity as far as the as far as the data goes. So I'm going to actually move this up to 100 and take a look at this here. All right, so we have a good high volume node here at 79.60. I'm going to remove this P&L so it doesn't clutter things up a bit. Let's see here. So let's take a look. Yeah, so our next mid volume node is right here at 6,500. Let me move back. So we're just looking at basically the bull market here. So we've got this. Yeah, we're in the middle of a lot of low volume nodes. I would say that we could potentially fly, if we were to break this 65, it would look like we would be able to fly from about, right around 7,000. We could fly all the way down here to one of these medium volume nodes. I wouldn't call this a high volume node at 5,700. So that's why stop losses are important, and likely try and catch it early, because if we fall through here, we could fall down here very quick, but then also we could fly up just as fast. If we saw something like that, that would be very nice to see. I don't want to see us come all the way down here to 5,400, but if we do, we do. But yeah, just keep an eye on this golden zone. This is going to be our trade setup, our level of defense, and what we're going to be looking for there to be any kind of bullish reaction off of this is going to be here off the 618 or the 65. Do not want it to see it fall below the 65 much at all, and if we do, it's not going to be good, really. Just being honest, it's not going to be good. We are going to fall lower, but to be bullish would be to buy in this area right here where we currently are. Again, we're at 74.82 right now on, I believe I'm on the Coinbase chart. So yeah, I would just keep an eye on things, but this is a really great area for spot buys, not leveraged buys, because there is a good possibility that we are going to wick down here to 7,000. It's possible that we wick down to 7,000. So, I'm not a real big fan of catching falling knives. I really do want to see a good bullish reaction off of this. We're not seeing it yet. So just watch for this and see if we can break that range high off of this move right here. If we can finally push and move up above 75, 7,600, then that's when I would be looking for potential resistance here at 78.50, and then I would be looking for, of course, our next areas, which would be right here around 8,000, of course. High volume in this area right here, 79.75. We've got additional heavy volume here at about 8,200. But right now, again, I want to see this move up, and it is going to take some time. I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Yeah, I guess we're sitting here at about 22 minutes. I've been talking for a while, but I want to pay attention for a moment on our capitulation that we had at 6,000 after we hit 20,000. So I just want to take a look and see the reaction that we saw off of that. All right, so we can take a look at this, and we're on a 3-hour time frame here. We're on a 3-hour, and I'm going to see if it's going to let me come back here and zoom in on this a bit. This is the kind of reaction that I want to see. Even though we know that this eventually had a bearish follow through where we rolled over, we had a nice V pattern here. So this is what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking for something like this to happen. A nice quick move down and an equal amount of time on the move up. So this is kind of what I'm going to be looking for the move right now. It is possible that right now what we're in is something like this, and then we're going to go down and hit that 7,000, and then we'll have that move back up, and then finally move up here. And again, a move like this, if you remember, where we went down and wicked off down here, let's not pay attention to the loss, let's only pay attention to the profit, because this was from the bottom, it was a 100% move from the bottom here. So not that that's going to be what happens, right? If we wick down to 7,000, that doesn't mean that we're just immediately going to go up to 14,000 within a week. Not saying that. All I'm simply saying is that if we have a good reaction off of this 7,000 mark, and again, I'm saying this, just kind of predicting that this may be what happens, right? If we wick down here, we come up, then that's going to be where we're going to see some continuation. And just to kind of put this into perspective, what we saw back in February of 2018, not that everything is going to be identical, but we saw something a little bit like this, where we had our V bottom, and then we had some chop, right? We had some chop, we didn't follow through, and then we had some consolidation on the top of this before we moved up. So this is where I would be looking to open leveraged long positions as long as we have this V-shaped bottom and we have consolidation, some choppy consolidation, but we don't break that range low on the, basically on the rebound, right? So on the rebound, as long as we don't break below that low, and then we finally have some bullish consolidation on the top of this, channel, then I think that's a good place where you can open up some leveraged long positions. But again, we got a long ways to go because right now on the 3-hour chart, this looks bad. So I would just be very careful. Again, on the 3-hour chart, this is what I want to see, right? I want to see us move down. I want to see us move back up. I want to see us chop here. And then I want to see some bullish consolidation on the top of that. And then this is where, again, I would be looking for longs. That would be at about 8,300. If we wanted to make this look like that other chart did, this is not the other chart, but the consolidation of when we sprung off of 6,000, this is what I would be looking to see. Looking to see some of that consolidation up here close to that trend line. Not that this is a trend line, I'm really just making this up, right? But this is what I would be looking for in order to, to be leveraged bullish. I'm spot bullish down here. There's a difference between the two. Spot bullish, you don't get liquidated. Leverage bullish, you can get liquidated if you have too much leverage, if you are not careful and you are reckless with your trade and you don't have stop losses. These are all things that I advocate for. So this is what I'm looking for, right? In order for me to be leverage bullish, I need to see us come back up to 8,000. That would be bullish. For us to come back up here to 8,000, extremely bullish, because that means we had a front run of the 618, and not just that, we came back up here into our range. The move that we saw just now, it looks like a liquidation hunt, which was very successful in my opinion, with as much liquidations as we had. But if we can pull back up here, then I do think there is more continuation to the upside as a potential possibility. But right now, sitting at 7,500, I would say that it's probably okay to put some spot buys down here. Again, likely coming back down here maybe to 7,200 or so. But for spot buys, I would be very careful doing any leveraged longs in this area. Sure, leveraged is it's nice when you have profit, but the losses are just magnified. Yeah, sure, spot buying is maybe a little boring for you, but you got to preserve your capital, you got to preserve your risk, and the best way to do that right now is in a spot buying position. So just be very careful, and you keep those stop losses. I had a long position, and I was talking about it in the Discord. I had a long position that I was talking about as we were ranging above this, actually these two, the 100 exponential and the 200 simple moving average. We were ranging above that yesterday, and I was talking about it, and I talked about it on my video, and I was like, all right, well, we're about ready to have a cross here. The 21 exponential is about ready to cross the 100 exponential, and so I opened longs here, and I stopped. I stopped right down here, and it's a good thing I did, because look at where we are now. You have to have a stop loss, you have to know when you're wrong, and you have to be willing to take the loss, because if you don't, even on a 10x long position, more than likely that would have been liquidated. In my opinion, a 10x long position is pretty safe, but you have to know where to put your stop loss. That's all I'm going to say about that. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. I'd love to see you on the Discord. If you need an invite to the Discord, feel free to let me know. I'll be more than happy to get you an invite. Throw a comment on the chat, and I'm looking for other ways to drive traffic to some of these videos. So be on the lookout for some interesting things coming in the next few days or weeks. But but here I am again with you. I've been here for over a year and a half now doing these videos. So I do them because I enjoy it, and I'd love to to hear some feedback from you. Otherwise, I'll talk to you all later. Have a good day, everyone.